In these perilous times, see from current events how biblical prophecy is coming to pass in front of our eyes. You're watching In the Last Days, the program that looks at Israel and the end times with teaching from a Hebraic perspective. With Martin and Nathalie Blackham, thank you to our friends and partners who make this program possible. Now, here's Martin and Nathalie.
Shalom, dear friends. Welcome to In the Last Days TV program. My name is Nathalie Blackham, and it's a pleasure to be able to welcome you in the studio here in Jerusalem, in Israel. And today we're going to speak about the Hebrew language, which is something very special and something has been revived. This language has been revived for the Jewish people, but something extraordinary is happening. Many people all around the world want to learn Hebrew, and we're going to discover why this is happening. The amazing thing is, like, we're going to look through history, and obviously the support also will be the Bible, the scriptures. It's very interesting, and I want also to tell you, we're going to touch some new teaching, things that we haven't been taught as Christians, and learning about this Hebrew language make us discovering things, and it is new, but is all in the Torah, in the scriptures. So it's very interesting and to have this new notion, and we'll go step by step. And I like this picture, and I use it few times, and it's to show you, you see when Yeshua speaks in Hebrew too, he said, now I have broken the wall of separation. And this was a little wall. This is called soreg. And this wall was between, this was for the Gentiles, and the other place was for the Jewish people. So it was written here that we couldn't trespass and to go on the other side. And when Yeshua said, I've broken the wall of division, this was the amazing things for us to be able to come and have the inheritance. God has given the things to the Jewish people as a blueprint, and they were the guardian of the scriptures. But when Yeshua came, he said, now I'm opening it to all. And if you remember in Isaiah, at the end of the chapters is written that the Temple Mount, his house, will be used again for what he said, like all the nations will come to be able to pray there. So he's inviting all the nations, the Goyim, to come. So this is what was so important when Jesus came and said that this wall was destroyed. So we can go into all the inheritance, and not the Jewish people to come on our side. It's the opposite. So we can have all the richness of the inheritance. So we are going to discover that a bit with the Hebrew language. This is something very interesting and amazing, because it's not a movement who's been started by somebody, but it's like an international, a worldly movement. And it's amazing with the media, with the YouTube, with the Facebook, you can see people and connect with the people, and you discover that many people all around the world are discovering the Hebrew language. The very interesting thing is, so when God started to speak to us, it was in 1987, which is a while ago, and after more, in 2004, in September, he was speaking to us. We're in Holyhead, in Wales, which is very interesting because it's the extremity of the United Kingdom. And God was saying, now, turn your face towards Jerusalem, because I'm going to speak to you, and the time clock is on Jerusalem. And we went also, I remember also there was another time where there was a man who was speaking, it was in the Midlands, and was speaking there, and a man came after the meeting and said, you know, I had a dream, and now I start to understand it after you've spoken, because I had this dream and I couldn't understand it. I was asleep, I woke up, and somebody was saying to me in my dream, don't forget your Hebrew pen. And he said, I went back to sleep, didn't have a clue of what this meant, have exactly the same dream, woke up, remember the dream, and was exactly the same, don't forget your Hebrew pen. And he said, after the meeting, he said, now I understand. I wanted to go back and really dig into the scriptures, and I was going to learn the Greek language. And now I understand that God is saying, no, it's the time for the Hebrew language. So this is very interesting. When you see from here and there, and when we started also our program in 2004, funny enough, also with Revelation TV, we had suddenly people who were speaking to us and saying, I want to learn the Hebrew language. What's the matter with me? And this is very interesting. Since this time, more people are doing it. And now they are not saying, am I crazy? It's like, okay, I'm part of something. This week I just received somebody who wanted my book, a lady from close to Wales, but she lives in Chester. And she wanted the book, and they are going to start a group on Shabbat, and they want to have, they want to have things to learn and grow in all these things. And I said, this is great. I think the thing which is the more important right now is like we rediscover our Jewish roots, and in the thing of what we are doing in that now, God is starting to really wake our souls to learn about the Hebrew language. Now, is that something new? Yes, it's something new, but it's something new for the Gohim, or I would say for the believers in Yeshua, or whoever, but it happens already for the Jewish people, which is very interesting because there is this principle first to the Jews and after to the people, to the Gohim. I don't like too much Gohim because Gohim is like the other people, but we are also believers. We believe in the God of Israel, so we're clinging into them. Like there is this passage about I'm sure you know it, about the tree, the olive tree, and our branch who are coming. And very nicely, one day we have a Jewish friend who was saying, this is a golden branch who's been put on the olive tree, which is very kind of him to say that. But it is true, we are coming and we are branch, and there is also a very beautiful prophecy in Zechariah about the tree and the branches, and there is two trees. And I really believe that there is the tree of the Jews and the trees of the nations, and we're coming, and the light is coming to shine. And God is, God is there is an evolution in all the things that He is doing. So we start from the beginning. Genesis 1 to Genesis 11, the Hebrew language was the Hebrew language. There was no other language. The language was Hebrew. And very interesting enough, again, how God spoke. He spoke in Hebrew right at the beginning in Genesis 1, when God created the heaven and the earth, and He created the trees and the animals and everything. And He's the master of the universe. He's the creator. But the amazing thing, if you turn in Genesis 3, verse 19, you can see that He loves also for humanity to be part of this creation. And He asks, this is what is written, Lord God. So when it's written Lord in big capital is Jehovah God, formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them into Adam to see what he will call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. So you see, God has created with the Hebrew language, and now He say, okay, Adam, you are here, and you use also the Hebrew language, and you give the name to the animals. And we will speak a bit more about that. We go now, we go few centuries, we go Genesis 11. Genesis 11 is very interesting, verse 1, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Okay, now when we read in English or in other languages, it's not always giving exactly what is written in Hebrew. So I'm going to try very slowly to say the same verse in Hebrew, and we are going to translate it word by word, okay? So, va yehi kol haaretz, so it was in all the earth, safa, a language, echat, which means one, echat, safat, echat. Ve'u devarim eradim, and the words, devarim, the words, were one, eradim. So it means that you had this table. Now in English it's table, in French it's table, in Spanish it's mesa, in German is Tisch. See, I've learned a bit of all these languages. And in Hebrew is Shulchan. Now, there it said there was only one language. So all this name, there was only one, Shulchan. Shulchan is Shulchan. And this is the amazing things of the Hebrew language is not just letters put next to each other, but the letters have a meaning and a power in themselves. We will speak about that again another time, but this is just the beginning. And when you see Devarim, Eradim, there was the words were just this. There wasn't dialects. There was only one speech. Okay. And so, because of that, when the people were speaking, they knew exactly what the people were saying. And like we were speaking about Adam, who was giving the name to the animals, the very interesting thing was, it's not like, okay, again, in English, when we say table, you have in your mind a table, so this name is table. But in Hebrew, it's different. In the name itself, the words, the letters carry the potential of what it is. So, for example, like Kelev, Kelev is a dog. And when you cut, the word in little is Ke-lev. Ke is like, and lev is your heart. What we say all the time about dogs is like he's the best friend of man. Kelev is like my heart. It's like we are friends. So is that okay? Is there for something else? Yes. Elephant. Elephant is pil. And I was asking a friend, I don't understand what is the thing in pil, and he said pil come from the verb poel. Poel means is making, is doing. And obviously, what is the elephant? He can do amazing things because he's so strong. And so, what he's doing, the function of the elephant is even in the name, in the word. And so, this is for everything. Like for example, very interesting also, butterfly, papa, papillon in French. Is like in Hebrew, par comes from the root word, which is a verb, which is pir per. So I was looking myself, I've done a bit of studies, and I look in my dictionary, I was looking, and I look, pir per means struggle. And I was just blown away. I say, this is so true. The life of a butterfly, it has to struggle to be a butterfly. And which is very interesting, because even humanity, if we want to look at this way too, humanity, we are struggling to become something. And like we need to, there is an evolution who are happening. Now we don't believe in evolution, that we came from a blob and we became a person. Like Adam was created by God. But we believe that there is a time, there is an evolution in history. And it's very interesting to look. I was reading this week, there was something in the portion that we are reading in the scriptures this week, was about that God has made the 70 language. And the 70 language is funny enough in Genesis 11. And he made, at the time of the Tower of Babel, 70 nations. And these 70 nations had a language, and he had to do that because we go back into Genesis 11, verse 4. Now we are all one, we have one language. And suddenly, man wants to do something by himself. God, you are on the side, and us who want to do something. And this is what they say. Go to, and let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach into heaven, and let us make us a name. So, is not God our creator, and we bow to him that he is the creator? We want to do something by ourselves. So they were doing it, and they were doing pretty well. They were starting to build the city, and God is saying, he came down, verse 5, the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men was building. And God said, with this one language, look, they can do anything. This is what is written. Verse 6, and the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do, And now nothing will be restrained from them. When there is a unity, nothing is impossible. Isn't it amazing? So because of that, God said, I love this unity that they have, but they are doing something and take me out of the picture. This is not possible. So now I have to take their language. I give them different languages, and now they won't be able to be one, and so they won't be able to make themselves a name. And the interesting things, man say that so we won't be scattered away, and it's exactly what happened, that because they wanted to make a name for themselves, God say, sorry, you know, I'm the boss, and now you are scattered all around. And this is verse 8, which is very interesting because it was a worldwide exile. Now you think, well, this is interesting because we speak also about the exile of the Jewish people, of Israel. And it's the same principle. They didn't follow God and the principle that he was giving, and God said, I'm sorry, I exile you because you have to think what you are doing is not right. And now we know a lot of Jewish people are coming back in Israel, and is coming, and since the 19th centuries, many people came back, and now there is almost 7 million Jewish people in Israel. So this is happening. And now we are going to see this curse who has been put on the world, that it was not one language anymore. This is why the people all around the world are stirred in their hearts saying, I want to learn the Hebrew language. Now, let us go into another prophet. And I love this passage. I'll try to see if I have it close to me. I think I didn't put it in the page, but it's okay. It's one of the prophets, Zephaniah, and it is Zephaniah 3, verse 9. And we read it. For then will I turn to the people a pure language. Now, pure language in Hebrew, it means clear, it means distinct, it means define. So it's not like, yeah, it's pure, like very, very precise, okay? That they may all call upon the name of the Lord. So call upon the name of the Lord in Hebrew is like a Hebraic idiom which means to pray. Okay, so they may all, interesting, call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. Now, very interesting again. Here you have the name again, Safa, that was speaking about language. Berura is the pure, the very distinct language. And after, there will be Echad. And again, we see this name, Echad, which means together, okay, in one accord. So this verse is exactly the reverse. And God is taking the curse out and is bringing the blessing of the Hebrew language, not just for the Jewish people, but for humanity. And this is something just amazing. To tell you about that, again, that this is true. This is not me telling a story. You go to speak to some expert or some rabbi who really know about these things. They know already about it. And for them, when they see that this is happening, it's like the clock of redemption is coming very close. So this is that. One day or so, I was speaking with a radio show in Australia by Skype, and somebody from America listened to the thing, wrote me an email saying, this is just amazing, I want to share something with you, and he make my day when he shared that with me. The verse of Zephaniah 3:8, so obviously just the one before that, is the only verse in the old scriptures of the Torah, of the Old Testament, who are saying of the Tanakh, if we want to say the proper name, is the only verse who have the 22 letters plus the 5 letters Sophit, which is, you see the 22 letters. This is the letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And sometime at the end of the word, when the letter change shape, and you have this 5-1. So when I was speaking with him, he said this very verse, Zephaniah 3:8, has and is the only verse who has all these letters plus the 5 Sophit, and is really to show, saying, listen, I'm pointing out something that I'm going to tell you now. This is so important. Now to tell you again, because I know sometimes people say, well, how can you know that this is the Hebrew language? I was the same. I was just reading my Bible, and I really feel God saying this is the Hebrew language, and I say, oh, here we go. Maybe I'm getting funny. I need to check to make sure. So I found a very good friend. She's Jewish, and I say, listen, this is what I'm reading, and it seems to me that is the Hebrew language, but it's not really written that. So am I getting funny? So she say, of course no, my dear. This is, yes, you're right, this is the Hebrew language. I say, yeah, but for you, it's obvious because you had this teaching since you are young, and like you know the Torah, you know the scriptures very well. But for us, it's something foreign. We're just discovering all these things. She said, no, you're right. And many rabbi and many Jewish people know that, the one who, who studied the word. And so you have 2 witnesses. You have the rabbi who knows all of that, and you have somebody who dig in the word and say, look, all these letters are there in the verse just before. This is just amazing. Now this is like really, in the Bible, in the word, but we have to see also what's happening in in history. And the Hebrew language, if we go back to Genesis 11, we can see, so people stop speaking, they have some other languages, but somebody is keeping it, and it's Shem, the son of Noah. He keeps it, and after you have Eber, and you have Abraham, and so the Jewish people kept the Hebrew language, okay? They kept it all the time, even when they were in exile, they were using the Hebrew. They always kept so very carefully the Torah, the scriptures, how to write it down. If 2 mistakes are in a scroll, they have to start all over the scroll, because it needs to be perfectly exactly how it is, and not just the letters, but all the little things that they are adding on it, which is called like crowns, okay? So this is amazing. But they weren't using it as a daily life. They lost it because they went in other countries, they were speaking the other countries, so they use it for praying, they use it for studying, but enough. And suddenly, Eliezer ben Yehuda, which was a man who was living in Lithuania, he was born in 1858, and he went after to Russia, and suddenly he had an awakening, and he had a dream. And I'm just going to read it to you. His verse is on page 28, and this is what he said. And again, so he was thinking about a lot of things, and things was happening in Bulgaria. And again, it was in the middle of the night. After a number of hours of reading the papers and reflecting on the fate of the Bulgarians and their future freedom, and suddenly, as if lightning struck, and a incandescent light radiated before my eyes, and my conscious thought flew from Sivka, pass in the Balkans, to the Jordan River crossing in the land of Israel. And I heard a strange inner voice calling to me, the revival of Israel and its language on the land of the forefathers. This was the dream. And indeed, it seems to me at the first instant that it was nothing more than a dream, a vision of the night. However, I soon realized that it was not a dream, or at least not one that will soon leave me. At the time, in my state of mind, many conflicting ideas and ideals waged a battle in my mind. On the one hand, the great Russian people and the great ideas of a noble revolution to free these people, and on the other hand, a vision that filled my whole being with pleasure and satisfaction, the vision of Israel resurrected to life on its holy land. This latter vision was diminished minute by minute, as I beheld a little nation eroded and pain. And I almost choke at the narrow-mindedness of the concept of reviving such a small, poor, and miserable nation. Those two nations fought for control within me. The Russian in me and the Jew within me collided and clashed in great rage. And the Jew won. The lot was cast. My life and my strength were given from that time unto the labor of reviving Israel and its tongue in the land of the forefathers. And at that time, Eliezer was just 18. So this was the beginning. The Jewish people, and he came in Israel, he came to live in Jerusalem. He was a man with tuberculosis, he was poor, and he had, his doctor in France said that he has only 6 months to live. But by the grace of God, he lived, and the Hebrew language was revived in Israel with much trouble. It wasn't easy. Life wasn't easy for him. But he persevered because he had this vision. And he was the first family who was speaking Hebrew at home, and his children from infancy were speaking Hebrew. It was the first family again speaking Hebrew in the land of Israel. And now God is doing something new that is not just the Jewish people, but like believers and people who want to learn again this language, because something is happening all around the earth. If you want to read my book and to order it, it's very simple. You can go onto our website, inthelastdays.com, and it's very simple. You go on PayPal and you ask it, and I will send it to you. And if you give me your name, I can dedicate it also for you. So this is a great thing. This book is really the beginning of us discovering this amazing language, and this is because God is doing his work all around the world. So this is very interesting to speak with you about the Hebrew language and what God is doing all around the world. We are just at the beginning of a new era. And don't forget, we are living in the last days.
You've been watching In the Last Days, a TV program with Martin and Nathalie Blackham, the program that looks at Israel and the end times with teaching from a Hebraic perspective. If you would like to financially support the program or find out about conferences, meetings or ministry products, then please contact us with the details on your screen. Visit our easy-to-use website at www.inthelastdays.com and register for our free e-newsletter. Get the latest news from Israel, product information, online video teaching, or watch today's TV program at a time that's convenient to you. Thank you again, friends and partners, for making this program possible.
See you in 2 weeks, same time, same station, for the next program from In the Last Days.